Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in to my Super Chat. Thank you. I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding, so your support via Patreon, Super Chat, greatly, greatly appreciated. And I just want to thank you very much. To the two best moderators in all of YouTube, Eric H526, Luke St. Martin. Thank you so very much, Luke and Eric. Thank you. We have a lot to talk about. Chen Guangchang was amazing. An activist, human rights activist from China. A blind man who is just the epitome of courage and heroism. He spoke at the RNC convention. Jack Brewer was awesome. He spoke, former NFL player. He was a lifelong Democrat like myself. Richard Grinnell was great. The third day of the RNC convention was another success. Before we get really quickly to the polls and why Clinton is eventually going to, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm on my way to making the biggest political call of all time, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how it's going to happen, but Clinton is going to be on that debate stage, or she'll be across the ballot somehow, some way. She's the only chance Democrats have. And Biden, it's interesting. You can't find a shirt that says Biden 2020 or Biden for president on his own website. Now there's Biden and Harris commercials where they don't even say the word president. So I'm not basing I haven't based my prediction on these types of things. I wrote in the Huffington Post in 2017, Hillary Clinton 2020 is a reality. Get ready for 8 years of Trump. Thank God President Trump's a great president. And the people who spoke at the RNC convention, from a courageous human rights activist in China to all the people who spoke, believe Trump is a great president. 63 to 64 million people will vote for President Trump. Well, definitely over 60 million. And they will also agree with the fact that Trump is either a good president or a great president or infinitely better than the Democratic Party. But William Holloway, best I can do, sir. Light in the wall. Thank you very much. Thanks to Nancy Pelosi. 9 weeks, 5 days until November 3rd. Hillary soon. William, thank you first and foremost for watching. William, thank you so very, very much. Greatly appreciated. Be here November 3rd. We're going to have a great time. I have all these prehistoric creatures flying around, these insects. William Holloway, thank you very, very, very much. And you watching is important. Thank you, William. Christopher! Love you, HA, but hope you're wrong about Hillary because I think Trump would win by a landslide against Sleepy Joe. Exactly. As it is right now, Biden is losing. So we'll get to the RNC in a second. Christopher, you're 100% right. And this is without Christopher and William and everybody here. This is without, you have to take things into context. Democrats and media never, ever, 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 ever take things into context. Everything is supposed to be evaluated or accepted at face value, and that's it. So when they say, well, you know what, Biden has more higher favorability ratings than Trump, every journalist in the country has given their soul. If you want to talk about it, this is a battle for the soul of a nation. Media has already given their souls to Biden. Okay? And believe me, it's like, it's interesting, for a political party that's done away with religion, done away with the concept of God, suddenly they're talking about the soul of the country. It's like, why would I want my soul anywhere near Bill Clinton? Oh my goodness, I feel your soul. Oh my goodness. Give me that everlasting eternity soul topic discussion. Whatever. Why would the notion of a soul, or the nation's soul, or the nation's heart, or the country, why would you, if indeed this is a battle for the future of our country's soul or heart or essence. Why on earth would you want to align yourself with a political party that cheated Bernie Sanders in 2016, forced Debbie Wasserman Schultz to resign in disgrace, and then blamed Russia for 4 years for everyone finding out that they cheated Bernie Sanders, and then accused Trump of things he never did, and is now investigating Trump? I thought you can't investigate your direct political rivals. So they get the Southern District of New York to investigate Trump. So it's like Democrats, they yell, they scream, they screech, they demand that Trump be impeached. They impeach Trump under the premise that he tried to interfere in the 2020 election. Now you have the Southern District of New York still trying to investigate President Trump 2 months before the election. How does that work? Jane de Belleville! At the debates, Biden will be sitting on her lap while she has her hand on the back of his shirt, moving his mouth. Jane, thank you. Jane, I don't even think they're serious about. I can't imagine them being serious about putting Biden in front of Trump. He would get eaten alive. Hal, hello. Hello, Hal. Jane de Belleville, thank you so very much as always. Jane, hidden for time. Mainstream presents their opinion as fact sickening. Exactly. It's always a fact, but they never talk about the nuance. The nuance is that every single day you have the most negative, you have the most vitriol leveled at Trump. You have Jim Carrey, who just recently, painted this disgusting picture to try to portray a Trump supporter with on a ventilator, and he doesn't realize that the majority of the lives lost are in blue states because Democratic governors and mayors dropped the ball. You have almost 40,000 Americans out of the 170,000 in 2 states, and God bless the people of New Jersey and New York. You have almost 40,000 Americans who've lost their lives in 2 Democratic-run states. And with 7 to 8 Democratic-run states, you have over half of all the lives lost. Bucolic Buffalo! H.A. talk about, you know the thing. You know the thing. Oh, my God, the thing. Bucolic Buffalo, come on, man. He's not even trying. Come on, man. I mean, he's not even trying. Bucolic Buffalo. Oh, come on, man. They just have such contempt for Trump, Bucolic Buffalo. They have such contempt for Trump that anything, like anyone or anything, they could get an alligator, put a top hat on an alligator, and with a bow tie around its big fat neck, and say, well, this alligator is outperforming Trump in the polls. But let's get to Bucolic Buffalo. Thank you for your support always. Thank you, Bucolic Buffalo. Thank you. Right now, Biden is underperforming Hillary in battleground states. This is by David Harsanyi, August 26, 2020. And by the way, really quickly, do you want your soul tied to Bill or Hillary or any Democrat? I don't. I don't want my soul tied to anybody. I don't want my future tied to, in the afterlife tied to anyone. But I certainly don't want Democrats. And I would much rather be associated with President Trump than Democrats. Because all the allegations and vitriol and venom, almost all of it is fabricated. That doesn't mean Trump has been perfect. No president's perfect. Rational critique, there is no rational critique of President Trump. This is like when you see the Jim Carrey, the disgusting Jim Carrey, could you imagine if it was a Republican or conservative artist or actor that painted an Onward Together person, like a person wearing an Onward Together hat, or a person with like pink hair, or vote Democrat, vote blue, or Biden. You can't get Biden 2020, so just Biden or Clinton 2020, whatever. And with statistics saying, okay, you know what? The majority of lives lost are in about 8 to 9 blue states run by Democratic governors and mayors and senators. Could you imagine the uproar? But Jim Carrey gets away with it. He's funny. He's done amazing work. But he doesn't know much about politics because he hasn't even read the New York Times. New York Times tabulates all the lives lost in all the cases. Per capita, New Jersey has done worse than any other state in the country. In aggregate, New York has done worse. And then you have the highest unemployment in blue states. If you add New York, New Jersey, that's almost 40,000 lives lost out of 170,000. Then you have Illinois, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and you add like 2 or 3 more blue states run just by Democrats. You can add California also. And you have over half of all the lives lost of the 170 human beings who've lost their lives. That's not Trump's fault. Trump doesn't run New York. Someone tell Jim Carrey that Trump doesn't run New York or New Jersey or Michigan or Illinois, another Democratic machine. And then you had protests, and then just coincidentally a spike or spikes after the protests. But then before that, you had Democrats voting in person in Michigan, Pennsylvania. In person in Arizona, Illinois, Florida, and Wisconsin. Wisconsin in the rain. How is this Trump's fault? And then they say, oh, well, mail-in ballots. Oh, my God. Well, you didn't have all mail-in ballots during your primaries, Democrats, you hypocrites. Bucolic Buffalo, thank you. Simon Hathaway Spurlock. Political scientist Helmut Norpoth predicts Trump will win 362-176 Electoral College landslide in November. If it's Biden, no doubt, Biden is the most horrendous candidate of all time. They can't be serious. Simon, thank you very much as always. Simon Hathaway Spurlock, thank you so very much as always. I mean, there's no chance that Biden even gets. I don't even think that Biden's really running. Is he running a campaign? People say, well, you know what? He was the nominee. So what? They don't have any rules, and it takes one meeting from Tom Perez, like I explained today. I'm just gonna, if I see something that shows me that there's something fishy going on, and that Clinton's the only chance they have. They know this. This is the Democratic Party. She does better in terms of core demographics. But here, right now, Biden is underperforming. Simon, thank you as always. Simon, right now, Biden is underperforming Hillary in battleground states. This is by David Harsanyi, August 26, 2020. It still remains something of a mystery to me why there's so little apprehension among liberal pundits and Democrats about the similarities between 2020 and 2016 in battleground states. Consider Wisconsin. The Real Clear Politics average had Clinton up 6.5 points in Wisconsin on Election Day. In August, she had been 11.5 points up. Not a single poll featured on RCP during the 2016 campaign showed Trump winning the state. Biden has a 3.5 percentage point average right now, which is to say he is underperforming Clinton in the middle of a pandemic and economic collapse. This is the case in a number of battleground states. What happens if the pandemic continues to ebb or the economy starts rebounding over the next couple of months? A new CNBC poll finds that serious concerns about the pandemic fell in 6 2020 battleground states. Approval of Trump's handling of the pandemic rose. That's because their societies and their economies aren't completely shut down. But here, this average, incidentally, was taken before before what's taking place right now in Wisconsin. As Wisconsin's Dan O'Connell points out to me, many Republicans in the state believe that August 2016, in Milwaukee over the shooting, played a role in Trump's win. It was around the time the race began to tighten. Milwaukee is seen outstate as being wholly unlike the rest of the largely rural population because of its crime and Democratic policies. If people say in Appleton or Oshkosh and the heavily red suburbs think Milwaukee style, they could come to their cities. Next, Democrats are in big trouble here. I've been saying Minnesota, and I don't think Oregon will go Trump, but there's a chance. There's a chance. A lot of these states like Minnesota and Wisconsin, Trump wins more counties. It wasn't even a competition in terms of the amount of counties won in Minnesota. He won the vast majority of counties in Minnesota and Wisconsin. But the urban areas made it close. Or in 2016, Minnesota went to Clinton. But I think he could win Minnesota with everything that's gone on. You don't ask the federal government for $500 million and say, we're in a good position to win. Okay? When you ask the federal government for $500 million to rebuild Minneapolis, it's not because things were peaceful. Okay? And I'm still waiting. Why doesn't, it's not just Jim Carrey. Why doesn't Jim Carrey or, I haven't seen Robert De Niro protest. I haven't seen anyone, I haven't seen any Hollywood. Where's Alyssa Milano and, where are all the comedians? Where are all these wonderful, Hollywood people protesting? There are protests going on right now in Wisconsin. Why don't you go? What? Nobody? I didn't see them in Minnesota. So why weren't they? Why are in Atlanta? Why aren't Democrats? You have the most obnoxious, malicious, arrogant actors and producers and directors and Hollywood elite. Why don't they just? Where are the live streams where they're? Where's Kathy Griffin protesting? Okay. And she had the severed head of Trump, which tells you everything you need to know about Hollywood. Where are they? Where are they in terms of they're very active on Twitter. And they're really good at painting things and cutting off, Trump and his head in effigy or whatever. But why don't they? I haven't seen any Medicare for All pundits who voted Clinton in 2016, the $20 million venture capital people. I haven't seen them. Where are the live streams where they're protesting? There have been protests going on, peaceful, very peaceful. If everything's so peaceful, why aren't these pundits protesting with peaceful people? I have not seen one. Maybe I could be wrong, but I don't know of one celebrity that is joined the protest. I don't know of one YouTube personality on the left that said vote for Clinton in 2016 and then spent the past 4 years talking about Medicare for All or universal basic income or whatever. I have not seen any of these people. You would think that since the protests are so peaceful, you would think that they would want to be there. They would want to be part of history. Don't they want to be part of history? Well, one reason that they're not doing this is because they're all talk. At the end of the day, these actors and Hollywood directors and producers, they're not going to go and march, or they're certainly not going to go protest when they're not going to be there when the police say, okay, that's enough. They'll be the first ones to leave, and that's actually a good thing. You don't see these people when things take place, and then mayors have to call a curfew because, gosh, maybe things aren't that peaceful. You don't see these people actually living up to their lofty ideals. Belomni, hello. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Belomni, thank you very, very much. Jay Wright, thank you. Very kind words. Belomni, thank you so very, very much. Thank you very, very much. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Belomni, thank you so very, very much. Thank you. It's just it's interesting how Belomni and everybody here. It's interesting how I said that Biden isn't going to hold any polling lead. The fact that they even said he was 14 points or 15 points up or 16 points up is absurd. Media never publicizes. Like, Trump says one thing about one substance. He never said inject. He never said that anyone should do anything. And then all you hear is Trump suggests, Drano. Trump suggests. What they do, what media does is with anything that Trump says, both sides, he meant, and Jack Brewer brought this out today. The whole both sides, like, hoax, myth, he never said, nor did he mean to say that there were fine people who were racists on that fateful day. That's like an 8th grade mentality they're running on. Just like Jim Carrey's pain, it's like, it just struck me as they do things and get away with things that Republicans or conservatives couldn't in a million years, or Trump supporters couldn't in a million years, because they don't run on basic logic. If you wanna insult people who lost their lives, and the premise is that people are losing their lives because of Trump, when in reality, the majority of lives lost are in blue states, and this is a fact backed up by the New York Times, and 40,000 Americans lost their lives in 2 states. How does that happen? And don't just say, well, it's population. Almost 40,000 Americans have lost their lives in New York and New Jersey. God bless the people in those states. Only the most amazing people. I have family in those states. But how do you not blame Murphy and Cuomo, but you blame Trump if you're Jim Carrey? I don't understand this. 40,000. So what? So New York was waiting for Trump's leadership? It was Trump's fault that elderly people who were infected were sent to old age homes? That were more, like, thousands upon thousands of people lost their lives because of that decision? Go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. What states have the most unemployment? Okay, Democratic governors have run their states into the ground. They have not just dropped the ball. They have not just, done a bad job. They have done the most horrible job you can do. And that's not hyperbole. If you look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics in terms of unemployment, and you look at the New York Times in terms of cases and lives lost, and aggregate lives lost is what you should always look at, not cases, that take place during a full moon in between, a solar eclipse, and they have to like slice and dice up. Oh, this is like Jonathan Swanson. Oh, I was talking about percentage of population. Well, percentage of population. Sorry, South Korea and other countries that have done a lot better than us don't have New York's governor or New Jersey's governor. They don't have blue states. They don't have the mismanagement of blue state like Illinois. Illinois is the only state in the country that has a bond rating close to junk bond. They have a BBB rating. That means if they raise money for any, a bridge or, any type of municipal bonds or state bonds, you can actually lose your money. Generally, that's a really safe investment. But Belomni, thank you so very, very much. Benito Carmelo. There's a huge silent Latino support for Trump. That's true. Many don't show it publicly to avoid conflict. I can understand why. I understand. I know how deranged the left can be, but you can see it in Telemundo comment section. Nice. Sometimes 90% of the comments are pro-Trump. Can I tell you something? The Latino vote is going to be the most important vote for this election and to re-elect President Trump. Biden currently, Benito, Carmelo, thank you so very much. Biden currently is doing worse than Clinton. Biden currently is doing worse than Clinton among Hispanic and Latino voters and Black and African American voters. Biden's doing worse than Clinton. And Trump is actually doing better than he was in 2016. So, and that is the largest non-white demographic in the country. So Democrats are losing support among Black and Latino voters. And it's like, the meltdown is going to be epic. The meltdown is going to be epic. It's unbelievable. I mean, they don't look at President Trump through the lenses of reality. Like, oh, he lies. Nobody has lied more than media. Nobody. Trump never worked with Russia, and there was never even a reason to be suspicious that he worked with Russia. Okay, we just ask Kevin Kleinsmith. Kevin Kleinsmith pleaded guilty because they did not have enough evidence. Like, you would think there was this mountain of evidence to go and investigate Trump's campaign. He literally had to falsify documents because they lacked enough evidence. That's the whole point. That's why this is just one of many. When John Durham got the plea deal from Kleinsmith, it's not just one of many. It's like they did not have the evidence to go after Trump, but you know their text messages, you know their intent and what they wanted to do. But here, other states have similar stories. Biden is up 5.5 in Pennsylvania today. Hillary was up 9.2 points the same day in 2016. Polls would tighten, but Hillary still ended up +2 on Election Day. Biden is +7 in Michigan today. Hillary was +9 on the same day in 2016. Florida is the only battleground state where Biden is outperforming Clinton. Yeah, he's not. There's no way that I don't see Democrats winning Florida, a state that has a state that you had DeSantis. You have DeSantis as governor, and 2 Republican senators. So, yeah, I don't see that taking place. Plus, Trump's favorability rating is highest in like Florida and Ohio, or 2 of the highest. But Benito, thank you so very much. Benito Carmelo, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the problem is Democrats say, well, if you're Latino, if you're Black, or if you're, any ethnicity. Look what he said. Look what Biden said to Charlemagne the God. And they look at Trump, they're like, oh, Trump is mean. Look what he says. The Democrats say worse, and they do worse. But Trump signed the First Step Act. Biden and Harris literally put away people unjustly. She wrongfully convicted people. Jamal Truelove, let's see, Jamal Truelove. San Francisco. So this is Kamala Harris. San Francisco is paying for Jamal Truelove's wrongful conviction. Police and prosecutors framed a father of 4 in 2007 murder case with local and national political implications. Then San Francisco District Attorney Harris praised the brave witnesses who Harris was then running for Attorney General. Okay. Then you have you have 1,000 cases being thrown out because of a crime lab. But here, Kamala Harris, wrongful convictions. Ms. Harris fought tooth and nail to uphold wrongful convictions, New York Times. Vox, Kamala Harris has been criticized for her criminal justice. Whenever Vox talks about a Democrat, it's like, Kamala Harris's possible wrongful history of wrongfully convicting people explained. And OC Register, Kamala Harris, abysmal record on justice issues. So she might not have been directly involved with Jamal Truelove, but the prosecutors that she had worked with, almost certainly worked with, were involved. But there were others. There were other people that you could say, okay, Pilgrim Media, we love you down here in Tampa, HA. Good job. Thank you, Pilgrim Media. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Pilgrim Media, be here November 3rd. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time. And it'll be Clinton, Trump. Again, Trump will win. I don't know how it's going to happen. But if they go with Biden, which they won't, but if they go with Biden, it's game over. Game, set, match, over. But here, if Trump loses Florida, the other states won't matter. That said, Andrew Gillum was up 3.6 over Ron DeSantis in the governor's race, and Bill Nelson was up 2.6 over Rick Scott in the Senate race on Election Day 2018. Both Democrats were above 50% at least 3 of the last 5 polls conducted in the state, and both lost. That's a trend. Nice. Okay, so this is a great article. Right now, Biden is underperforming Hillary in battleground states. There's no way, do you see Biden getting better or worse? Okay, and if he's getting worse, is it by design? Well, I wouldn't go there. But Democrats prop up and nominate a person with 1,000 different problems. A person who only looks good to the most manic and apoplectic and deranged and hysterical, seething, fuming, anti-Trump Democrats who voted for Clinton and who will just blame Trump for everything. These are the same people who call up friends and family, I can't talk to you anymore because you're voting Trump. You never hear Trump supporters say, you voted for President Obama and he destroyed Libya, so I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Democrats don't think that way. They're like, well, it was just foreign policy. It's his worst mistake. It is what it is. Sorry. Oh, yeah, here. They focus on the Jonathan Swan interview. It's like they take everything out of context with Trump, and they demand context with Democrats. William R. Abrams III, me and my wife and Mr. Tiny, needs everyone's prayers right now. Oh, my goodness. God bless you. Me and my wife and Mr. Tiny needs everyone's prayers right now. Everyone pray for William R. Abrams, his wife, and Mr. Tiny. God bless you. Hope all is well. Hope you're okay. Pilgrim Media, thank you. But you look, and it's like, type in Joe Biden. And you had, the Democrat, this is the thing with the Republican convention. The Republican convention resonates with Trump supporters, with people voting for President Trump. This is what the media, they don't get it. They don't understand. They have no concept. They don't get it. They don't understand that the DNC, the Democratic convention, the DNC's convention was a complete and unmitigated disaster because the far left and the left, and even a lot of establishment people, didn't like it. But mainly the left was like mocking it, denigrating it. You had these goofy music videos because the DNC convention was basically like, gosh, how can we make it so we're not too proud of the country while at the same time pretending that we're really very patriotic? So they had to balance. Well, how can we express discontent? How can we convey that we're just not happy with our country, while at the same time kind of being patriotic? So you have that song, "There's Something Happening Here," and it's like this 80s MTV background. Everything's like somber and unhappy, and like everybody's trying to say great things about Biden, but Biden doesn't really have a fan base. He doesn't have a base of support. He doesn't really have a base of support because he was kicked out of the 88 presidential contest for plagiarism. Then in 2008, he didn't even get. He got 0.08% in Iowa. He didn't even get 1% in Iowa in 2008. In 2015, he didn't run, and President Obama didn't want him to run. And in 2020, the only reason he quote unquote won a primary that was in Iowa, you have a situation where Biden finished 4th in Iowa, and then 5th in New Hampshire, and then 2nd in Nevada. And then when it got too close for comfort with Bernie Sanders, Democrats were like, yeah, no. Bernie can't defeat Trump. And in this year, he couldn't. He'd get demolished by Trump. He would do just as bad as Biden, probably, maybe worse. You can't continually harp on policies that Democrats don't want. You might as well be saying, let's start a colony on the moon. They don't want Medicare for all, and they don't care. This is the problem with the left. The left is like, we're going to make the Democrats listen to us. Nancy Pelosi's like, yeah, there's about 4 people on the squad, 4 or 5, whatever. 4 people. They don't care. They're utilizing the left and saying, well, if you don't vote for us, then you're a monster, racist Trump supporter. And that's how they keep everyone in line. And they say, oh, we need Medicare for all. We need a universal basic income. We need a Green New Deal. They're not going to do any of those things. Democrats are not going to do any of those things, and they're not going to be convinced to do so from YouTubers or political action committees started by YouTubers or young people on Twitter. They don't care at all. They're playing the left. The left isn't playing. The left is like every single day, people on the left wake up and they say, oh, I'm just going to retweet how hypocritical the Democratic Party is. The Democratic Party doesn't care. They know at the end of the day that young people generally don't turn out to vote, but they want that kind of enthusiasm. So they say, yeah, you know what? I'll support a Medicare for all bill, sure. But it doesn't even get close to passing the House. It doesn't even close. And then what they turn into, the politicians on the left and the celebrities, they turn into like these televangelists because they've done away with religion. And they've done away with any concept of God. So their morality is derived from shaming others, pointing out hypocrisy, and sweeping under the rug any hypocrisy they have. So, like, for example, when AOC is is alleged to have possibly committed, potentially, like James Comey says, potentially, campaign finance violations. Nobody talks about it. It was a bunch of conservatives and right-wing people bringing it up. Like, no, it wasn't. It was former FEC chairman. But whatever. The Democratic Party runs on their own brand of morality. It's actually a morality fetish. They really truly believe that they're better human beings than Trump and Trump supporters. That's what drives them. It's not a matter of whether they can get the Democratic Party to implement their policies. That's like a distant third or fourth. The first goal, especially like if you have a rose icon on your Twitter profile or whatever, the first goal is, how can I feel morally superior today to conservatives and especially to establishment Democrats who are marginally better than conservatives? How can I feel morally superior? And how can I continue to show the world that I'm morally superior to others? Meanwhile, they're cheating Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is backing somebody who would veto Medicare for all. They're blaming Trump for working with Russia. The Lincoln Project people's getting retweeted. They're the ones who got us into Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld's never-ending quagmires that President Obama continued. And then the left, what they do is to make everything morally relative. Well, Trump isn't even better. It's really the same. And look at his policies. It's like he ended a policy funding rebels in a location where he actually removed American soldiers, and then he signed a deal to remove American soldiers from America's longest-running military conflict. And he's telling NATO to go you-know-what, which is fantastic. And then they say, well, look at what the atrocities took place. There were atrocities that took place. Well, God, this is horrendous. Guess who was committing those? Okay, that's a NATO member. Why don't you go ahead? I'm kind of speaking in roundabout terms. Why don't you? I thought that you cared so much about NATO. So they say, well, Trump is abandoning our allies. Our allies are suffering from a member of NATO that's engaging in military tactics they shouldn't engage in. Speaking in roundabout terms, but like the live streams are kind of iffy when it's like you can't get really too far into live streams. But here, I have articles here. This is here. Trump ends covert U.S. program to arm rebels. A move sought by Moscow. Washington Post. Why would I give what Moscow or any country wants or doesn't want us to do? That's like saying, you started a low-fat, diet that is good for your heart and, is high in protein and helps you live longer. That's exactly what Putin wants. Okay? You're not going to McDonald's and you're not eating pizzas at night right before you go to bed. And that's exactly what Putin wants. I hope you're happy. It's like, you don't base your life on whether or not a competitor or adversary wants something. That's not a good, you won't have a good life. But Trump orders withdrawal of U.S. troops. He ends a former program run by John Brennan. Then, of course, the Washington Post is apoplectic. This is what Moscow wanted. U.S. signs historic deal. Trump announces beginning end of war. Our end of our involvement, eventually an end of our involvement in Afghanistan. Are like, well, Trump is just, look what he used a military strike here and then drones. Like, well, sure, I don't want any of those things. But look at the paradigm changing. Trump is engaging in this is like a paradigm changing foreign policy. We haven't had a foreign policy like this in decades, where he's removing our presence. And then you get the wonderful, well, it just sends a bad message to our allies. So what? So what? These are very, these are vague and, esoteric, vague, broad statements. Sends a bad message to our allies. What do I care? I don't. They should go ahead and implement their foreign policy. It's good for them. I don't go and I don't say, I really hope. I hope Macron does what we want in terms of foreign policy. I hope Boris Johnson does what we want. It's like, do what's good for you. Why do I have to? As an American, I don't look at other countries and say, gosh, I hope they do what's good for us. Do what's good for you, and we will do what's good for us. That's what the Democrats are. They don't get it. They're like, how did Trump won? He must have won through the xenophobia. But Democrats, they're so proud of themselves when they retweet Lincoln Project people. Like, oh, look, Republicans don't like Trump, see? It's like, well, they're not really Republican anymore. They're more Democrats. They're basically former Republicans who found a home in the Democratic Party. That's it. You have Bernie Sanders and Max Boot and Bill Kristol voting for the same person. Do you understand? And it ain't going to be Biden. It'll be Clinton eventually. I'm still going to say it November 2nd, November 3rd when Trump wins, which is what I've been saying, which will still be a great call on my part also. So it's either way. Look, if it's Biden, they don't have a prayer to win. Biden has no base of support. Okay? Before President Trump became president, he had built a brand that culminated in a TV series that people watched for years and years and years, and all the liberals who said, "Oh my God!" How many people were on The Celebrity Apprentice? How many actors on The Celebrity Apprentice? You have all the actors. You can look at a list of people. Pierce Morgan. He's not that hard on Trump, but like you could look at a whole list of people. Actually, I don't think any of these people, aside from a couple, are really hard on Trump. But you can look, I mean, he had years in the national spotlight. He grew a brand. He was always known as like, tough businessman, but he was on every late night talk show. He was like quoted in songs, rap songs, numerous songs. So the reason he was able to win on his first try, Brad's Adams, Howard Cosell come over. It's right. Hello, Brads. Hello. The reason President Trump was able to win on his first try is because he had a base of support. People enjoyed an element of Trump's personality. Maybe they find him funny or amusing, or they like the fact that he has a strong personality, or they like the fact that he defends himself. See, Democrats confuse Trump defending himself for being a bully. He's not a bully. He doesn't just go after somebody for no reason. He always goes after somebody when they go after him. But Biden doesn't. Hillary Clinton has a strong base of support. That's why she'll eventually be on that debate stage. The past 4 years were tailored to her being able to say, you worked with Russia, you had improper contests, you were impeached. Everything in Trump's administration is to muddy the waters and level the playing field enough to where Bill Clinton's impeachment for lying under oath, perjury, what is, I mean, come on, I didn't have relations. What kind of relations? No. I mean, if anybody were to ask me what the biological definition of relations were, I would be right. And if you said, are you having, what is? Am I right now relations? No, I'm sitting in front of you. See, do I lie? He obstructed justice, a crime, and then he perjured himself, another crime. And they talk about President Trump with Stormy. It's like, okay, that was a business transaction that, you know what, not good to do. Not a good thing, but it's not like he was with an intern in the White House. And then they want to talk about morality. You want to talk about morality? You got Bill Clinton, Anthony Weiner. You got a long list. Eric Schneiderman. There's a fantastic person. Al Franken, Mr. There's a fan. Yes, tell us more about morality. These people are like, they're so clueless also. It's like, at what point do you realize nobody cares what you think of them? Democrats wake up every day and they're like, you know what? We're going to judge and condemn. And Trump supporters wake up every day and saying, I really don't care what these imbeciles think of us or me. Or it's like irrelevant. So, but you look, ladies and gentlemen, at the polls. And you have Chen Guangchang, a Chinese lawyer and human rights activist who has been an outspoken critic of the Chinese government. So this is a really amazing man. Jack Brewer was awesome. He had a really wonderful speech. Then you had Richard Grenell. And the thing is, the Republican National Committee resonates. And Nicholas Sandmann resonates. Like, what took place with Nicholas Sandmann. And you had African-American Trump supporters talking about, the horrors of racism and why President Trump's a great president and how he never said both sides were fine or equal or whatever they try to spin. And initially that day, I remember I was on the left and they were like, the left, when they lose again, it'll be because they truly relish this morality fetish. Like they have this, it's not about morality. They have no concept of morality because they suddenly grow this conscience when it's, oh my God, the cages. Well, the cages were built under President Obama. What? And he was doing similar things. I can get into it right now. New York Magazine has an article that I've talked about where a Senate panel determined that President Obama was doing worse, or what took place was worse than even worse than what was taking place under President Trump, which, by the way, he ended. So, it's like, you have this, let's look right here. Washington Examiner. This is hilarious. Trump calls for drug tests before Biden debate. Reason number 1,000 that somehow, some way, Madam Secretary is going to be nominee after this charade of a nomination unravels. President Trump says he will call for a drug test for both Vice President Biden and himself before the first candidates debate. The president expressed suspicion at what he said was a sudden marked improvement in Biden's debate performance during the Democratic primary season and suggested he believes the improvement was a result of drugs. The president offered no evidence to support his speculation. Of course, Clinton offered no evidence to support that Tulsi Gabbard was a Russian operative, but you know what? I don't know how he could have been so incompetent in his debate performances and then all of a sudden be okay against Bernie. My point is, if you go back and watch some of the numerous debates, he was so bad. He wasn't even coherent. And against Bernie, he was. And we're calling for a drug test. So, thank you, Captain Ned. Thank you. Thank you, Captain Ned. It's really interesting, it's like, this election is going to be the end of Twitter. Because Twitter is it's a platform where Democrats and liberals and progressives and left-leaning people can feel really good about themselves. It's like church for people who just have a morality fetish and they don't really care about doing the right thing. They care more about demeaning and insulting people under the premise of eventually doing the right thing, or like insulting others under the premise that you have to do so in order to save people or help people or get Medicare for all or whatever. Like when they get retweeted, when you get retweeted and you're on the left, or you like a post, you're like, you feel like you're doing something good for the universe. It's probably overstated, but it's like they actually feel that they're on the side of justice. I've been told this by, this is hilarious, I've been told this by people, you're on the wrong side of history, man. Yes, tell me more. You cheated Bernie Sanders, you blamed Trump with no evidence at all. You try to frame and set up everyone from, Trump, people associated with Trump, or a teenage, a young man, a teenager, Nicholas Sandmann, and now the Washington Post is paying hopefully tens of millions of dollars. And then these people are like, oh, you're on the wrong side of history. Meanwhile, President Trump is reversing U.S. foreign policy, changing the paradigm of U.S. foreign policy, hopefully forever, to where we don't send Americans off to never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. I mean, you listen to these people like, well, we just have to stay there forever. It's like, what? When did it go from, oh my goodness, there were no WMD, to, well, we just have to be there. It's like Germany and Japan. It's like our base is there. What? When did it go from, oh my God, we were duped, to, well, we just have to be there forever? I guess that's, them's the breaks. When did that happen? I have no clue when that happened. Just very bizarre. It's very bizarre how that, it's very bizarre that the left would just like kind of completely alter whatever alleged value system that it had. But the RNC convention resonated with Trump supporters. People looking, and there's even more unrest now in Minneapolis, now there's in cities in Wisconsin. Pence appeals to history as he attacks Biden for ignoring American heroes. Then the left, what they do is like, well, this person in U.S. history, and benefited from the most horrendous atrocities, and it's like, okay, so are you going to judge President Obama in the same manner? His administration engaged in regime change, not only in Libya, but tried to do so in Syria. You can't constantly be funding rebels and then say, gosh, look at the bloodshed. This is really horrible. It's like, well, why are you even a part of it? It's a proxy war. The only reason we sent Americans there, and the only reason we were funding rebels is because it's an important country to Russia and Iran. So, and Trump got us out of that, or pretty much got us out of that. We're still involved in some ways, but far less than under President Obama. But he's actually you can actually see what Trump is doing. Like his personality, I don't care about. Nobody voting for President Trump is voting on personality. Maybe so. I actually like the fact that he fights back. Sure, he can go overboard at times. At times he can go overboard, but he's actually doing good things. He's done good things. And then they say, well, look at the economy. It's like, well, you can't call for states and cities to shut down their economies. You can't call for states and cities to shut down their economies and then complain about unemployment. It's like Trump has been wanting to open up the entire economy for a long time. It's not his call to make. It's the governor's. Missy, thank you very, very much. Missy, thank you. Missy, thank you very, very, very much. Abel! Thoughts on Theodore Herzl? I think that his belief in a Jewish homeland is a good thing, very good thing. You look at history, Jewish people have been in Israel for thousands of years, long before Roman times. So, in the world that he lived in, and we saw, this is like Democrat. The left makes a living off of the pain and suffering of different ethnicities that vote Democrat. But you look at the history of the people that he represented. I don't want to get too into it on YouTube, on the live stream, but it's a good thing. Zionism is not a bad thing at all. It's just a belief in a Jewish homeland. The left makes it out. The left made Zionism out to be just like what the "Make America Great Again" hat is to them. They don't like something, so they assign all these horrible, attributes or characteristics or allegations, and they quote the UN, and they think they're like so educated and lofty, and it's like, well, there are other. You can't even bring it up, but there are other groups that focus specifically on cafes and buses. What's the word for that? Specifically, what's the word for that? That's right. But I think what he did was a good thing. Lyle Bud, save censorship, the censorship, save censorship, the censorship, children. Lyle Bud. I don't know if I'm reading it correctly. I apologize, Lyle Bud. Lyle Bud, thank you. Abel, thank you. Lyle Bud, thank you so very, very, very much. As always, Lyle. The censorship is interesting because this is the interesting thing also about censorship. You can't censor an idea you can't censor a sentiment or an idea if it resonates. And you can't pay for people to adopt an idea if it doesn't make any sense. That's why, the left can say a million times over, Trump said both sides. He said both sides. He didn't, though. So you can believe that if you didn't like Trump prior to 2016, you're not going to like him now. If you voted for Clinton and you didn't like Trump, nothing's going to change. If you voted for Clinton and you didn't really care, but you were like, you know what, then you'll vote for Trump. But if you're a lifelong Democrat and you never voted Republican and you blame Trump for everything, then you're not. Then you're definitely not going to vote for President Trump. Oh, couldn't send it. Okay, gotcha. Lyle Bud, thank you. Lyle Bud, thank you. This is the thing. They don't have the Democratic Party and media and Hollywood, and if you want to call it the left, they don't judge Trump in the same manner they judge themselves. When they get caught with their pants down, literally, it's not a big deal. We just had to find out if he worked with Russia. oh, we're suspicious, so therefore that legitimizes anything we feel or say. But if Trump says something, Trump claims without evidence. He claims without evidence. Well, he was suspicious. What's the problem? You're like, well, there's no evidence that we've done studies and shows that mail-in ballots are just fine. It's like, well, yeah, but he doesn't trust you because you cheat all the time. And furthermore, there have been endless examples, even by people you're quoting now, that when Republicans were cheating via mail-in ballots in Florida and absentee ballots, the New York Times, Slate, and publications in Florida were calling it out and saying, oh my God, you can forge signatures. You can just order 100 ballots to be sent to like a couple of locations, just on a whim on your computer. There's New York Times, Slate articles. There are numerous articles talking about the perils of mail-in voting and how you can forge absentee ballots and how the ballot collection is the issue. You want Debbie Wasserman Schultz running around with like a knapsack full of ballots? Yeah, what's the problem? What could go wrong? Oh, look, there's Bill Clinton. Oh, I'm just outside for my nightly jog. Yeah, no problem. What? This? Oh, this is my knapsack. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of classified data here. It's not ballots. No problem. Don't worry about it. Who was the Lyle Bud? Thank you so very much. It was Sandy Berger. Was that his name? Sandy Berger. He had like stuffed classified documents in his pants. He wanted to destroy classified documents. That's so funny. I mean, they're always caught in the act. One archive employee said Berger stuffed the papers down his pant legs. If they're not in servers, they're in the guy's pants. So it's like, yeah, that's right. It is way back. But see, it never ends. It never ends. There's something going on. It's like, ladies and gentlemen, the most enjoyable part, I'm telling you the truth, and I'm not just saying this, the most enjoyable part of this election for me are these live streams with everyone here. Otherwise, it's extremely boring. There is like nothing going on. I mean, I just hear. I know it's boring and annoying and whatever. Here, I just want to go ahead. I've given up. I'm going to vote for Biden right now. I'm voting for Biden. H.A. Goodman's voting for Biden. Let's just want to buy a Biden for President 2020 shirt. I just want to do that right now. I'm voting for Biden, everyone. Joe Biden, website. I'm just voting for Biden. Okay, here. So, okay, Joe Biden. It says Biden-Harris. Okay. Battle for the soul of the nation. Is this the presidential website? Oh, I thought it was for 2020. What's going on in 2020? Do we have something going on here? What year is this? Oh, it's 2020. It says Biden-Harris. I love Kamala Harris is like laughing with Biden. Like, really? He's not funny at all. She's like... And they love the handshake. Who looks at this man and says, gosh, I just want to be near him. His warmth. Okay, let's just go. Did they fix the... No, they still didn't fix the... Joe's vision. Still no scroll down for... I'm on a laptop here, but here. Store. I just want to buy. I want to go ahead and buy some gear. I'm going to vote for Joe Biden. I'm not going to vote for Trump anymore. I'm voting for Joe Biden. Can I get a? I just want to Joe Biden 2020. Joe Biden for president 2020. No shirt. Just says Biden Harris. Nothing here that says Biden for president. That's bizarre. I'm sure there's nothing going on there. Nothing. There's nothing going. I'm sure. Biden Harris face mask. Biden Harris pint glass. I swear to God, you can buy everything in this man's store, and you wouldn't even know he's running for president. That's bizarre. Why do you think that is? That's really funny. I want something from my dog. Can I get a Biden dog collar? Let me see. I hope even, Fido should know that he's going to be running for president. Pet accessories. Listen, this is how much they're trying. For pet accessories, plural, you get one Dogs for Biden collar for $28. What dog owner hasn't, pet supplies are extremely expensive, but $28 for a nothing collar? Dogs for Biden? This is like Dogs for Romney. The Dogs for Romney. $28 for a dog collar. $28. $28. Okay. Then I want to get a shirt. It doesn't say for president. I swear to God, this is fantastic. It says Joe and Jill and Kamala and Doug. That's all it says. For what? Don't ask me. Maybe it's like a swingers thing. It's a shirt that you could take to a swingers gathering. This is hilarious. When Clinton becomes the nominee after this hilarious charade of a nomination, I will have made the biggest political call of all time. Oh, this is a good one. Joe is a Willie big deal. Willie Nelson. Joe is a Willie big deal. Joe is a Willie big deal. Get it? Instead of really, it's Willie Nelson big deal. And then you have a picture of Willie Nelson with the shirt. I don't understand this. I mean, it's come to this where I'm looking at his store. I know that it's kind of weird. And I have a shirt that says Kamala, not for vice president or whatever, not 2020. Here we go. Battle for the soul of a nation. Why would I want anyone? Oh, I just want to see if you want to come to the afterlife with me. If you're doing anything later when you passed on, or going to the Battle of the Soul of the Nation party in the afterlife. Yeah, they've done so much good for the country and the world. Very good people. Very good people. You can have President Obama and Trump knocking on the pearly gates, and then God says, hello? And then President Obama says, I destroyed Libya and helped foment the horrific atrocities in Syria with my foreign policy. But really, Libya was pretty much directly my fault. Can I come in? Let me think about it. Or Trump can say, you know what? I ended our involvement in Afghanistan. I signed prison reform legislation. We had a great economy. I was the first president ever to sign an executive order combating anti-Semitism on college campuses. First president to step foot in North Korea, to begin détente, the most serious détente between North and South Korea ever. Oh, I like that a little bit better than destroying a country. So they say the battle of the soul of the nation. They don't even bring up God. Or or they don't This is the thing. Like you talk to somebody on the left, they're like, "Oh yeah, God. There's no evidence that God exists." And then in the same breath, they're like, "Trump worked with Russia." Like, well, how do you know? Because James Clapper told me. Oh, okay. The preacher James Clapper told you. Okay. Or John Brennan told me. All the smartest people told me. This is the moment in the live stream where I just go to the Biden Victory Fund. It's Joe Biden for president official, but there's nothing you can buy that says Biden 2020 or Joe Biden for president. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. This is hilarious, too. It's like, did Joe Biden even watch the RNC convention? It's like, the contrast couldn't be clearer. We can choose more years of fear, division, and hate. What? That's the left doing its thing. It's not President Trump. He doesn't like put fear into people's lives. He doesn't divide. He's not full of hate. It's the Democrats that actually, if you spend one day on the left, go and spend one day on the left and say something either against Medicare for all or just say, I don't know if it's feasible. Just like, I don't know if it's feasible. Or, Trump is actually pretty good that he signed the First Step Act prison reform legislation. Oh, my God. Talk about hope, unity, and light, and fear, division, and hate. You'll get a huge lesson on that. Let's overcome this era of darkness together. Then the Lincoln Project. The First Lady of the United States is delivering a political speech at the White House, the People's House, behind the presidential seal. If President Obama did this, nobody would care. The Lincoln Project certainly wouldn't care. If Bush did it, the Lincoln Project certainly wouldn't care. This is such a sad moment for our country. These are the people who sent 2.5 million Americans off to never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts where over 1 million were injured. And then they're now... BC new host of Fantasy Island. Brooklyn new. Oh, hi, Tattoo. How are you? William R. Abrams. Jimmy Summers. I have biz in OC, and I also live in Prescott now. And commuting, I see 5 times the Trump stickers I saw in 2016 in California. It's everywhere. In Arizona, landslide. Jimmy Summers, I feel I've seen that as well, and maybe not 5. Maybe where I live, it's not as much that you don't really see, but you do see more people who are like, yeah, you know what, I like Trump. Where I live, it's like people. There's like the silent Trump vote is pretty substantial, but it's a silent vote. But Jimmy Summers, you're right. I mean, this is what look, I don't know how they're going to do it, but I'm telling you, I don't know how. Could be just simply a meeting at the DNC, but they are going for the switcheroo. I don't know how it's going to happen. But they will get initially. They'll get a substantial increase in enthusiasm once Clinton takes over. Because Biden, this is just. I agree with you, Jimmy Summers. I agree with you. There's so much more support for President Trump than there is for Biden. So much more. It's not even close. But you get I got to get back to you get this Jim Carrey painting. It's the most, like, it's not like I'm like, if it was a Trump supporter with that painting, like, these are the empathetic people. This is empathy now. You're making fun of people losing their lives, but only if they're a Trump supporter. Okay? And so the theme of it is, the theme of the artwork is, it's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault. But if it's Trump's fault, why are most people in the United States of America who've lost their lives are in blue states, run by Democratic governors? How is that Trump's fault? And if you want to talk about population, Texas and Florida have a fraction of the lives lost of New York and New Jersey. So, but see, they don't run on basic logic. They don't run on logic. Double D! Maybe they're going for the foil effect, make it seem so desperate they're losing, so she looks like the white knight saving. I agree with that. That's what I think. I agree with you. Double D, I agree with you. I agree with you. I think that's one of the things. I think that's one of the things they're doing. All of this, Double D, all of this has been like this kind of charade where it's just really bizarre. Like, it's like this really, really bizarre kind of, like, he's not really running, but it's like he won the nomination, which is like a Zoom meeting, a glorified Zoom meeting. There's just, and also the interesting thing is, like, you can say that Biden's a good person till you're blue in the face. Nobody's going to believe that. There are more people who think Donald Trump is genuinely a better human being. Genuinely a better human being than Biden. Okay? For all the vitriol Trump got for the Access Hollywood tape, Biden is actually accused by a woman, not only credible. You had a 1993 call-in where her mother stated pretty much, like, not exactly what took place, but, I mean, that's corroborate. Anyone can say, oh, yeah, I heard the story. There's no, like, anyone can say, this is why when Democrats introduced gossip into the, sphere of the intellectual discussion or the discussion, the national dialogue, when gossip is now evidence, and you've gone from gossip to actually Tara Reade's mother calling Larry King live, and you don't believe that, but you harped for years and years on an Access Hollywood tape that wasn't a deposition, and they're like, oh, he's bragging, he's admitting an assault. It's like, you have no clue if he was. It's not a deposition. You have no clue whether or not he was admitting anything. The evidence shows he was laughing about something, and it was a very bizarre joke. And then you have people who obsess over it. But it's like, you obsess over that, but you don't obsess over the actual allegation of that specific act. You can say Biden is like such a good person forever. But the reality is, his policies, everything from the crime bill to Libya to voting alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld, he's a career politician. If there's a swamp that exists, he's the embodiment of that. And he's one of the people who was involved in setting up Michael Flynn, which is really bizarre also. Very bizarre. So, then you have like these, U.S. has 4% of the world's population, 25% of the cases. Connect the dots and vote for Biden. It's like, if you connect the dots, you would know that most of the cases and most of the lives lost are in blue states. How is that Trump's fault? We have 50 states in the country. You can add about 8 to 9 blue states. That's over half of the lives lost. This is according to the New York Times. This is not something I'm happy about. This is a fact. So they come up with this deceitful lie that it's Trump's fault when it's the governors of states and mayors of cities that have a far greater impact on the lives of citizens. William R. Abrams III. Your hair is coming in great. I'm not only a member, I'm the president. William R. Abrams. No. This is just because I can't. Thank you, Isaac. Thank you, William. Thank you. I can't get a haircut. Otherwise, I would get a haircut, but William R. Abrams, thank you. Let's see. You have really, really poignant you had poignant speakers during this RNC convention, and here he goes. Hillary Clinton. Trump has spent his entire political career demonizing immigrants. What? They haven't changed from 2015. What makes you think they're not going to have the same candidate as they did in 2015 and 2016? It's just Clinton is ramping up. And this is actually great. It validates everything I have ever said exponentially. Here we go. If you voted for Trump, Stein, or abstained, you're part ownership of this debacle. I don't look at the country. Here, this Bill Kristol interview. This is Bill Kristol who pushed for Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld's foreign policy, destabilizing an entire region of the planet and getting us into never-ending conflict. And of course they're replaying the same things. Go with the tiki torches. Here we go. This is, of course, these deceptively edited videos are just fine for Twitter. I guess they don't, Mad Cow Mark! I'm sitting on the throne. Mad Cow Mark! That's awesome! Mad Cow Mark, thank you. Well, the live streams are actually the DNC is dedicated towards the optimal experience of that type of experience. But Mad Cow Mark, thank you. Mad Cow Mark, thank you so very, very much. Yes. That is awesome. Mad Cow Mark, thank you. I'm telling you, the I'm with her people, you can type in I'm with her, and it's still like they're like every couple of minutes, and there's an hashtag I'm with her. If they can't accept the reality of things. Mad Cow Mark, thank you. They can't accept the reality of the pandemic, where people are losing their lives the most, like which locations, which states. They can't even acknowledge the good things President Trump has done. They just can't. Everything is so overtly deceptive. And then they go out, hey, Trump is misleading, Trump is mischaracterizing. And when they can't get him on anything false, they say he's misleading. Like William Barr gave the correct viewpoint of the Mueller probe, which didn't indict anyone for conspiring with Russia. And they're like, he miscategorized. So that's how they try to pretend via fact check, dropping Mad Cow Mark. Hey, if you're gonna donate as often as you do, my God, enjoy. Mad Cow Mark, thank you so very, very much. Mad Cow Mark, my Australian crew, yes. They're either at the pub or on the throne. It's fantastic. I have the best viewers. Best viewers in Australia. Thank you. Exactly. Sora, Corn Pop is Corn Pop is weaker than Hildebeest and August 26. Exactly. Mad Cow Mark, thank you so very, very much, Mad Cow Mark. Yeah, I mean, Michael Cohen, this is fantastic. Yesterday, you asked for it and I agreed to appear on Maddow, MSNBC. Stay tuned. # disloyal. This is another thing. Democrats look at this like, look how many people turned on Trump. And most people, Trump supporters, but the world is like, yeah, these people are doing it. They're in it for themselves because they got caught doing things. Like Michael Cohen got caught doing things that were illegal that have nothing to do with Trump. And he was a supporter of President Trump till he viewed it to be, beneficial not to be a supporter. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to type in Joe Biden right now. And Romney 2012 staffers unite behind effort to elect Biden. Oh my God. This is even better than I could have ever imagined. Designers of the Hindenburg and the Titanic unite behind Joe Biden. Wow. You're getting all the best people. Dogs for Romney. You're getting dogs for Romney. Ooh, we're scared. Romney staffers, Romney 2012. Oh, you mean the people who are the brains behind the Romney campaign? We know Mitt and Joe share the same essential presidential traits. You know what a presidential trait is? Whatever media decides, if they don't like somebody, they'll tear them apart. And with Trump, he fights back, and they don't allow him. They've never allowed him a moment to even feel like he was a president. I mean, you have people, the audacity of one, Mr. President, are you going to apologize for all the lies that you told? And then Trump's always taken back by, like, he should know by now. I mean, he knows, but he's like, what? What was that? He's like, the lies you told lies. Are you going to apologize? He's like, next question. He doesn't. That's great. He doesn't even take a second to answer. Nobody has told more lies than media, knowing that there was no direct evidence, pushing the narrative that Trump worked with Russia, which is only an imbecile would believe this. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. 524 people going into approaching 2 hours. Thank you so very much. Check out the upload. Subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. That'll heat up very soon. Trust me, that'll heat up very soon. That channel. If you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below. If you want to be part of a newsletter, ladies and gentlemen, it's contactgoodman78@gmail.com. And people, November 3rd is going to be a really nice reality check. A really, really nice reality check for the amazing Democratic Party. Give me your thoughts below, everybody. Mad Cow Mark, thank you again. Mad Cow Mark, thank you. To my super chat, thank you. Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, thank you. I'll see you tomorrow, everyone. Be here at around 9 p.m. Pacific tomorrow evening again.